Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm doing another video. Now today I'm doing an interview, which is exciting, and I'm having two very special TNS guests on with me. So today Amy, Cole and Romeo will be joining me, who are the writers of The Next Step Season 8. We're going to be diving into some of the storylines they wrote and finding out some interesting things as well. I cannot wait to speak to them, so please welcome Amy and Romeo.
Hi, I'm Romeo Candido. I'm the co-showrunner of The Next Step Season 8, and I directed a couple of episodes as well.
Hi, I'm Amy Cole. Along with Romeo, I am also the co-showrunner of The Next Step Season 8.
Thank you so much for joining Amy and Romeo. So today we're going to be having a little chat about The Next Step Season 8. And to kind of kick off the interview, how did you both feel when you found out The Next Step Season 8 was finally coming to our screens?
Excited and surprised, because you never know for sure, even with a show as successful as The Next Step, it's never a guarantee whether or not you get another chance to tell more stories with these characters in this world. So yeah, when we found out that it was coming back, we were super excited.
Well, there's also Amy and I were kind of arranged marriaged with this show, in that we didn't know each other, and Amy was on the show first, and then our producer said, you know, maybe you should meet with Amy. And I feel like I was on a job interview with Amy, but so we met at a cafe.
Not what it was.
Well, we met at she was on first, and she knew the show. She worked on the show before. I didn't work on the show prior. So meeting her, I was nervous. I didn't know if I'd get the job, but we had a really good kind of understanding and kind of aligned morals. And so when I decided to say yes because of Amy, then I got really excited.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And it also is great how you two kind of clicked from the first moment. It sounds like you worked really, really well together. So talking kind of like about the early days of The Next Step Season 8, like the first moments you two were working together, what were the first storylines that you both came up with for the new season?
I think we knew pretty early on that at mid-season we wanted our A troop. We knew B troop was going to get to go to nationals, and so because that was the big cliffhanger, as everybody knows from season 7, how to resolve that. And pretty quickly we were like, well, I think it's going to be B troop. I think it's got to be B troop. And so we decided that we would have A troop kind of decide to take their destiny in their own hands, kind of thing. Like, we didn't want them to have to answer to anybody and go out on their own and create their own show. So I think that was a story we decided on quite early.
And we inherited the idea that there was going to be a musical as part of the show. And I think that's kind of why I was brought on, because I have a music theater background. So we knew that there was going to be a big musical. We knew that there was going to be nationals. We knew that we were going to be saying goodbye to the people that the audiences have fallen in love with, and then we knew that we had to bring on new people. So these were all things that were kind of determined before us coming on board, and so those were the first things that we had to start wrapping our head around.
Yeah, well, it sounds like some of the first things you kind of were thinking about were obviously some of the most major storylines in The Next Step Season 8. So you were talking about how the old A Troop, I suppose they're now called, they did Step Inside, they did that kind of musical vibe show. So where did the idea of that come from? Did it kind of get inspired from something? Was there something that kind of gave you that idea?
Well, when making a musical about dancers, one of our first inspirations was the chorus line, a musical about the unheralded dancers in a Broadway show. So that was our first thing. We liked the idea of everyone being able to tell their story. That eventually led to this idea. There's a documentary of the last Michael Jackson tour called This Is Us, and the documentary starts with just dancers having these testimonials of what it meant what it means for them to be dancing with Michael Jackson. And so we integrated this idea of doing these kind of documentary talking heads, as opposed to the reality show talking heads. So we had this kind of documentary style about just who they are and what dance means to them, and what, we wanted to give the old age troupe a really nice send-off, and we wanted to let the actors tell their own story in this musical. So we had emailed all of them, and we really wanted their input. So these testimonials they came up with us, and we want to like highlight Shelby's singing abilities and Alex's singing abilities. We brought in Danny to sing as well. And so, it took a long time, but we had a whole bunch of bad musical dance review ideas.
It's hard to get something like that right. Yeah, we went through a lot of different iterations of like, okay, if these kids are going to put on a show, what does that show look like? And it took a lot of time and energy, but we really feel like we got it right with Step Inside.
Yes, Step Inside was incredible. And like you said, it was a bit of a different storyline to have, a bit of a different route to go down, but it definitely was amazing. And I love how the cast were involved in it. They played a role in it, which is really nice to hear. So like you said earlier, Amy, obviously a lot of characters did leave at the mid-season finale. So what was it like writing so many iconic characters out of the show?
Emotional. Really emotional. We knew that we were going to bring in a new generation of dancers through the show, through the season, and we wanted to make sure that these characters have been, beloved. Piper and Amy were started in season 4, so they've been on the show for a really long time, and so we wanted to make sure that we got it right, and we had an ending moment for the characters that was really true to their characters. We really thought hard and long with our writers about like what's the most satisfying, like fitting ending, like what's the next step for all of these characters? Like where are they going to go? Who are they going to go with? What's going to happen? And yeah, I think, it was emotional, but I personally feel like we did right by all of them and gave them all the futures that I think they deserve to have.
And one of the important things is we wanted to make sure that even though we were sending them off, that those characters were going to be put in new situations that they had never been in before. Because, moving from childhood to adulthood, growth happens where we're uncomfortable. Growth happens where we are unfamiliar. And so, part of it is we had to make sure that all of them were in positions that they were uncomfortable and in situations that they hadn't been in before, to help them get to the ending of their arc for the season.
Importantly, the next step, it's a family, and as you can see by many of our returning characters, no one's ever really gone. So fear not. It's very likely that this isn't the last we'll see of many of these characters.
Yes, definitely. And like you said, with the next step being a big family, a personal favourite moment of mine in the next step season 8 was that final scene that we had of the A Troupe, the A Troupe we've known for such a long time, together in Studio A, and it was kind of nice to have that send off. But I think the way they left and the reasons they left, like you both said, they all had different reasons to go, and I love that. I like Piper and Amy in New York, Kingston on a movie. They all kind of had their own little moments to shine, and it's kind of nice to know they'll be living their dreams. So on the flip side of obviously saying goodbye to the old characters, that means that we're going to be bringing in a lot of new ones. So we have a brand new A Troupe, obviously with Kenzie and Heathcliff kind of from the old team. So what was it like kind of working with so many new people and, writing so many new storylines for them?
I think it was really exciting for us. It was challenging finding a new cast because we had to do it over Zoom and we had to do it over taped auditions because it was the height of COVID, so we could not be in rooms with these people. But what we were tasked to do was introduce the next step to a new generation of viewers. And so we wanted to make sure that the new dancers kind of reflect a new audience. You know, we had our first non-binary characters, we had our first trans dancer, we had tons of racialized people. And so it was exciting to tell new stories that spoke to their lived experiences as real people.
This is the first time. Normally how casting goes is you get in a room with a bunch of dancers and they dance for you, and then you get to have a long chat with them and you really get a sense of how they work with each other. And this time it was all over Zoom. So casting in that way was super challenging. So we didn't get to, meet our new cast in person till, we were shooting. So which is very different. So it was, we were just like, okay, like, I hope we made, I hope we picked the right group. And we did, because so many incredible people want to be a part of this show. So we saw so many like really incredible dancers that we wish we could have had, a 50-person A troupe, but we can't. So, but then as soon as we got our group on set, it was really exciting, and getting to know them more, we did start, learning more about them and incorporating facets of their real life personalities into their characters in the way that we always do on this show. I mean, the actors are not their characters, but we do try to take real life things and incorporate them when we can. And so it was a really fun time getting to know these new characters and create them. Yeah,
we acknowledge that there are going to be fans of the show that don't want to say bye to people. We still read comments about this show shouldn't have gone past season 1, 2, and 3. Like, we understand that there is growing pains for the audience when they have to let go of people. But in these new characters, what I loved about them is none of them had ever acted before. None of them, a lot of them are so new, and so just to see them unfold as we were filming was a beautiful experience. Like, from the first day where somebody was shaking, saying lines, to like the last day just owning it. For us, it was really satisfying to see them grow as humans, as characters, and as artists. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, it does sound like a really exciting journey, having all those new characters. And like you're saying, Romeo, with the different characters coming in, and especially with Ebby was probably like the first kind of character who we saw on the new age group who had such a different storyline, with her solo for nationals and with the Afrofusion storyline with it. I thought that was a really inspiring story, and that was another personal favourite of mine. So I know this is a really hard question, but is there a favourite storyline you wrote for TNS 8?
That's tough.
Amy, do you have? I think I have an idea of what.
I do. I mean, I have a lot of them. I liked a lot of them, but I mean, I liked how we kind of set everything up from episode 1, 801, when Rochelle asks, who still wants to go to nationals by a show of hands, and Heath and Kenzie put up their hands, and right there you're like, that's the season, that's who we're going to be following. And I thought right then, as soon as you see Heath put up his hand, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to know Heath is the mole, like, immediately. Charlie, did you guess that Heath was the mole?
Right, I had a bit of a journey with the whole mole thing. So I started off thinking it was Shad, and then I thought it was Finn, and then I thought it was Heath. So I didn't know from the start. Honestly, I had no idea until the episode where he was revealed that it was him.
Wow, so I thought, like, right then, I'm like, everyone's going to know it's Heath. But right that moment, the season's going to be about Heath and Kenzie. Like, they're the two that we're going to kind of watch their journeys. And so Heath, I think he wasn't guessed immediately because he was so under the radar on the show to that point. So he didn't even kind of enter people's minds. And that was the whole point, right? That was why he did it. It was because no one notices me. I want to be heard. I want to be listened to. And then to go from this, like, kind of a bit of a selfish move, I'm going to try and do this stuff because I feel like I'm not, to becoming like the ultimate team player and leader on the team, I thought was really great. And then Kenzie as well decides, you know what, like, I'm going to be in charge of my own destiny. These guys all want to do their thing. I'm going to do mine. decides that her goal is to lead a winning team at nationals, and she makes it happen. And so, and her growth from being like, I've never been in the spotlight, I've never been the main dancer, which is something Emerly said to us. She said, I've never been like the girl in the dress in a dance, like, and then at nationals, like, there she is, she's in the spotlight, she's the lead. So to me, those two, Heath and Kenzie, their arcs, I think for me, those are the two of my favorite stories.
For me, I think it's having the new A Troop win it all at the end. I think I've always related to the underdog story. I've always related to the idea of a person who's overlooked on rankings, not necessarily dance rankings, but just in general. And so I thought it was really fun to see this group of people that were underestimated and having to live up to the huge shadow cast by all of the previous A troops, and to see them win it, I think was really really fulfilling for me as a story.
Yeah, well, to see the new A Troop win nationals was definitely a highlighting moment in the season. I think for all of us fans, it was definitely a really exciting time. And I agree with what you were saying, Amy, too, about Heath being the mole was definitely a big plot twist. Now, two of the most iconic characters on The Next Step are Rochelle and Aussie. And obviously since season 5, there has been some sort of possibility that they might end up together, and obviously in season 8 they finally did. So what was it kind of like writing that to kind of end such a long kind of prediction of them coming together?
It was fun because we knew how excited not to say we make creative decisions based on, well, here's what I read on here's what I saw on TikTok, so this is what we should do. But that said, it's hard to deny that Richozzy had a fandom, like a passionate fandom, longing for them to get together for a long time. So we knew that would make a lot of people really happy, so it was exciting for us, and we knew we had a long time to kind of set it up. So again, we tried to like lay the groundwork really early on in the season, and we really liked the idea of it being, Rochelle, like Aussie, we wanted him to start the season really happy about his friendship with Rochelle, and they have a really strong bond, and he isn't in any way harboring these, romantic feelings, and it's Rochelle that kind of has to go on the journey of realizing how special her connection with him is, and kind of developing those feelings and dealing with them. And yeah, it was just a fun journey for us to take these characters.
Well, Briar is when she's dancing, it's perfection, and she's such a beast. And the fun part of Richozzy was making her awkward and making her nerdy and making her geeky and making her like tell corny jokes and like making her cringe. Briar killed it. And so, I'll always identify, like, as I said earlier, with the underdog or like the lost puppy who, the unrequited love. But to see, Aussie's grown up, he's starting to fill out his shirts. Like when you look at the old footage, like he was really nerdy. There's no way, but he really kind of grew up. And to see, I think the hardest part is like I was wanting them to kiss in episode 7, and Amy kept saying not yet. Not yet. It's like, okay, episode 12, can they hold it? Not yet. Amy just kept saying not yet. And so yeah, and so when they finally do have their moment in the finale, I thought it was earned. And, we waited long enough.
Yeah, well, the Richozzy storyline was a huge moment for all of us fans, and I think you both delivered it amazingly. And, right at the end of season 8, when they finally kissed, that definitely sets up a potential big storyline for season 9. And it was nice to kind of have that whole season where it was building up, like you said, and building up, and then finally at the end to get it was definitely a great feeling. Okay, so I have one final question for you both, and it's kind of just like a nice positive one to end the interview. So just kind of wanted to know, what was it like writing back some iconic characters into the show? We saw the likes of Michelle back, Lucien, Maria. Like, we saw so many new characters so many old characters returning back to the show. So what was it like having them back?
I mean, so much fun. Like I said before, the next step is a family, and you know, once you're an A trooper, once an A trooper, always an A trooper, as Summer said in in episode 1. So you know, it's always fun having Victoria, you know, and Isaac, having them come back was so great. Lucien was so fun as a villain, and having him play with our new villain Maria was great. It's always, even having, you know, James pop in to chat with Piper was great. So it's always fun for us to build on the legacy that this show has built, and the history that this show has built, and keep everybody in the fold.
I think it was, you know, because I didn't grow up watching The Next Step. For me, I was watching it to understand what the show was. But I just like the idea that everybody who came back from previous seasons, they all said it's like coming back home. They'd all come, and then there's just this feeling that, like, and I feel like I'm the new guy. I felt like I was like the visitor in this long-running family. So just to see people's bonds still be there, people's familiarity in the space, it was just really I just felt like really lucky to be part of this.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a great kind of thing to be part of. And, you know, personally for me, Michelle coming back was a pretty big deal because, you know, we've seen Michelle in every season, similar to Eldon, but, you know, she's always been, I think, my favourite character. So having her back was lovely, and the reasons why she came back were great as well. And very quickly, I'm going to add another question on the end. Was there kind of like a favourite dance that you two watched that was like quite exciting for you to see?
I mean, there were so many dances I loved this season. My favorite in terms of on an emotional level was Finn and Piper's last duet. We had never seen them have, you know, a romantic, emotional dance like that, and in real life it was, you know, one of their last days on set, and so it was the emotions that you saw on screen were real. And we were all crying, like everybody in Video Village was crying. It was so emotional. I think we had parents on the phone crying, watching. You know, it was a really emotional dance. And Liam and Alex, yeah, their performances were just amazing. So I think that was probably my favorite.
For me, my favorite dance moment was one that was not filmed. It was the first time that the new A Troop did their nationals piece. And up until that moment, we were all still kind of stuck on the old A Troop being, you know, just the top tier of dancers. But when we saw the new A Troop rehearse their nationals piece, that was the moment that Mitch, Mitch, our longtime cinematographer and episode director, it was the first time he goes, now that's the new A Troop. Like, it was this moment where all the new kids just kind of gelled, and then we saw the vision. And for a lot of the audience people, they couldn't buy into the new A Troop until the end, because, you know, there's so many new characters to introduce. There was the old A Troop that was leaving, but for me, seeing the new A Troop dance their nationals winning dance, knowing that they were going to win nationals, and then them coming together as humans and owning it, I think that was my favorite dance moment of the season.
Yeah, those two moments sound incredible, and it's kind of great that you got to watch them and be part of such two iconic moments in the Next Up Season 8. So before we end, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to you, Amy, and to you, Romeo, for coming on and for being part of my channel. I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being such a passionate fan of the show. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to talk about it.
Oh, thank you, Amy. It's such an honour to be part of kind of the Next Step fandom, as you call it. So thank you to everybody also who watched the interview. I hope you enjoyed it, found out a bit more about the Next Step Season 8, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye, guys.
Subscribe to his channel. Like and subscribe to his